Hi guys! Welcome back to our channel. We're Molly Does Disney, a channel dedicated to all things Disney, including vlogs and reviews, tips and tricks videos, Disney history and much more. So if you're new to our channel, please subscribe and hit the notification icon to make sure you keep updated with everything Disney.
Today's latest entry in our series, Great Moments in Disney History. The series where we examine some of the greatest accomplishments of our modern era and celebrate some landmark events which have truly sort of shaped our culture. But of course only the Disney parts. Our last video we celebrated the golden anniversary of Disney classic The Jungle Book, which turned 50 years old. So check out that video if you haven't already. But today we're going to be talking about something a lot more recent. Today is actually marks the 5th anniversary of Disney's 52nd animated feature.
This film was released to both critical praise and commercial success, and it's also one of the most expensive animations ever made, with a budget of $165 million. So it was completely worth it in our opinion, and also because the film grossed $471 million worldwide at the box office. It also won several awards, including a number of Annie Awards, as well as the Critics' Choice Award. It also received nominations for the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards in the category of Best Animated Film. But unfortunately, it lost out to Brave, which came out a couple of months before. So good timing there, Disney. Sort of kick yourself in the butt there.
So everyone gets it yet? The film is Wreck-It Ralph. It's really deep actually, it has a few sort of strong, serious points, including its tackling of society's stereotypes and how it places labels on people. And it gets these characters who you wouldn't consider very relatable at first glance. And then it makes them very relatable for the film because there's so much emotion in the film and it always makes you cry every single time you watch it. Yeah, you have no reason to associate with this 10-foot tall monster who goes around destroying buildings and stuff, but it's just right in the feels.
The plot's premise is that Ralph is the main bad guy of a retro 8-bit game called Fixi Felix Jr., which is based on the old Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, with Ralph being a homage to Donkey Kong and Felix being a homage to Mario. But Ralph isn't really a bad person. From the very start we hear Ralph's heart-rending story, so we know already that we can sympathise with him, and that's through a monologue, which is really sweet and very touching. He's been shunned and victimised because of the other characters in the game. They perceive him as a villain, and he's forced to sleep in the dump and forgotten about until he's needed again for the game to play his bad guy role, which is horrible. The good guy, Fixi Felix, is constantly praised for saving the day and fixing things, and Ralph eventually gets really sick of it. After 30 long years, he takes matters into his own giant hands and sets off to complete... It's making me sad! God, they're just so mean to him!
I know, they bully him so bad. They just like parade it in front of him. It's like, here Felix, here's your medal.
After 30 long years, sets off to complete an act of heroism that will make the other people in the game finally accept him.
Aww. Ralph decides to travel across the arcade through different games to prove that he's got what it takes to be a hero. He ends up in a game called Sugar Rush where he meets Penelope. She suffers from the same belittlement and lack of acceptance from him because she's a glitch. She's the unwanted person in society that it's society's job to sort of shun them because they're different and they're a mistake. They're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, so they're like completely kindred spirits, and that's their main connection. The arcade is then threatened when Ralph accidentally unleashes a deadly enemy that threatens all of the games. And the very things that people in their games detest about Ralph and Penelope, so glitching and constantly breaking things, are actually the skills needed to save the day. The pair become firm friends as they discover that they are just craving friendship rather than acceptance, and they really embrace their characteristics without letting them define them.
I overall like that this film's very deep, and I'd say it sort of gives out two key messages. One being you should not judge and assign value to other people based upon your perception or what label you decide to give them. Because this is quite a common theme throughout the whole thing. It's not just Ralph. He goes to Bad Guys Anonymous where you see the sort of the zombie from House of the Dead and Bison and Bowser. They all have to meet around like AA to discuss their feelings and emotions because they're always being sort of suppressed, but they understand it's their role. The second one being that you shouldn't allow these people to force the labels upon you. You are who you are regardless of how people try to force you to conform to whatever label they try to put on you. So as well as being very deep, the film is equally hilarious. So it gets away with sort of having all this heavy stuff because it's sprinkled on top with all of this humour.
Yeah.
Most of it just comes from sort of Disney puns.
Hey, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? You hit a guy with glasses. That's well.
Nesquicksand?
The vines, they're Laffy Taffy.
You hurt, sire?
No, he just glazed me. Get them!
The way the film just fully embraces itself in that way, so it doesn't get too much.
It doesn't take itself too seriously. The attention to detail is really, really phenomenal in Wreck-It Ralph. Every part of every scene has amazing detail, and the concept of the film is never broken. So the bricks, the sugar cubes, the torches of flaming marshmallows, or s'mores, I think. I'm not sure what s'mores were English, help us out. There's also dozens of cameos in this film from video games, which is really nostalgic. However, the game references aren't over the top, so you don't feel like you're sort of getting left behind if you're like me and have no idea what they're going on about. And the movie isn't reliant on them. They're just sort of the icing on the cake. The director, Richie Moore, even said the film, and we quote, had to have real characters from real games in it. So overall, there are about 188 individual character models.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, so a lot of those are cameos, but a lot of them are just sort of characters dotted around.
But I do love all of the video game cameos from all of the different things, and it's so much fun just trying to spot the different little ones. All of the jokes are sort of relevant to the thing, so like the zombie from House of the Dead, he like uses his axe to clap. There's one bit where Sonic gets sort of run over by Ralph, who's in a ship, and then Sonic loses all of his rings. Which is from the game, because in Sonic the Hedgehog, when Sonic gets hurt, he loses his rings, and when you run out of rings, you die.
Oh! I'll tell you one bit that I do definitely like, and this is, I guess this is a cameo, the Oreo bit. There's a homage, if you like, to Wizard of Oz, when the guards are outside the Wizard's palace, and they're going, or something like that.
Yeah.
But in Wreck-It Ralph, they also have guards outside the sort of greenish emeraldy palace, and they say Oreo.
Yeah, and they're Oreos. It's another one of the Disney puns, which is just like, oh my god.
So they're like, Oreo, Oreo.
There was a deleted scene where Ralph did go into another world, which is sort of a Sims crossed with Grand Theft Auto, sort of free world experience sort of thing. And I think the tagline of the game was supposed to be, there is no bad guys, there is only guys. So it was when he got really upset about everything, and then he sort of like, I'm going to go and just disappear into a world where I don't have to do anything, I can just be lazy. But then they cut it out, and apparently they were really sad that they cut it out. But I think it just made the story really convoluted, and it made it much more complicated. Yeah. And so they sort of it would have been really hard to shoehorn it in. But hopefully they'll use it in the sequel, which is coming out in 2018 actually.
Yeah. Of course, none of the amazing combination of heart-wrenching emotion and gut-bursting hilarity would be possible without the fantastic voice talent involved in the film. First off, we've got John C. Reilly, who plays Ralph. He has 101 film credits under his belt to date.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He ain't even that old.
Usually he does more adult films, more Chicago, Gangs of New York, that kind of thing. And he's also known for his comedic work. He really, really delivers in this role on all fronts, especially considering it's the first animated character he's done for a feature film.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, he does it so well.
Yeah.
Apparently he thought it was really hard to get on the wall because he thought it'd be boring, just sort of sat in a box, just sort of really like,
But the director got him into it.
I think him and director were busy mates, so he sort of talked him into it. Our second main character, we had Sarah Silverman as Vanellope. She usually does stand-up comedy work, but she's done a couple of comedy films for such as School of Rock.
Yeah, she's an annoying fiancé or girlfriend.
There's just something about her voice, it just grates on me so much. It's like nails on a chalkboard sort of thing. It just sort of grates against my ears.
See, I don't feel that, but I know you really dislike her voice most of the time.
It's not, I don't know if it's her voice or it's just her as a person. For credit, I found her significantly less annoying in this than when I've tried to watch her in other things. I don't know, maybe it just helps her that the character that she's in is sort of quite endearing. Something that really helped as well was that Sarah and John, they played off quite a lot. Because when they were recording together in the same room, which they've not done very often these days, so it led to a lot of improv and them to get a really good chemistry together.
Yeah. So Jack McBrayer plays Fixi Felix. He's done a lot of voice work in the past, including some stuff for Disney. He lended his voice to Irving from Phineas and Ferb.
Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Irving. I'm your biggest fan.
For me, Alan Tudyk as King Candy, he sort of really steals the show for all of the comedic part of it.
Hello, my royal subjects! Have some candy!
He's sort of the evil dictator of Sugar Rush. And he's got an amazing twist as well, but it's sort of not like blatantly obvious either.
Yes, no.
So,
I didn't see it coming.
Alan is amazing in it, actually. He's just like hilarious. His vocal style is actually based off the comedian Ed Wine, who's done countless Disney films before. He was the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, and he was the crazy one in Mary Poppins who has the tea party on the ceiling. King Candy's manners were actually modelled after the Mad Hatter, which at first I did think he seemed slightly familiar, but then when you watch it again you're like, yes, that is it. That's where I've seen it before.
That's good though, because it's inspired by, not modelled on. So it's not like, oh look, here's a modern day Mad Hatter. It's not like that.
He's his
it's
own
more
character.
like, yeah, he's his own character, but he's got fairly similar mannerisms, but he's evil. And the Mad Hatter is just plain crazy.
To me, no, Alan actually has the most impressive CV of anyone I've ever seen, actually. So since doing Wreck-It Ralph, he's had voice roles in every Disney animation film to date.
That's a lot of work.
Plus Star Wars Rogue One, they just chucked it in there. So he's King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph, he's the Duke of Weasleton in Frozen, then he's Alistair Cree in Big Hero 6, who's the teacher in it, who turns out to be the main bad guy. Then he's Duke Weasleton in Zootopia, then he did Star Wars, and then he was Hey Hey. But then he's also the villager who wants to eat Hey Hey as well.
Jane Lynch lends her voice to Sergeant Tamora Jean Calhorn.
God, that's a
mouthful. I recognise her, and a lot of people recognise her from Glee. She is the lead character in the game Hero Dooley in Wreck-It Ralph, and she does a fantastic performance. She's played a lot of sort of feisty characters in the past, and they're really sort of using her strengths in this film. I
like how she's the main character in her game as well.
Yeah.
Just all like, yeah, progressiveness. She's got this little side story when her and Felix fall in love, and I usually hate the little side love stories. They usually they ruin the pace of the film, they drag it down and sort of shoehorn in to get a love story in there. Especially because there's no love story for the main character.
Yeah.
So they had to put one in as a side story. Usually it ruins a film, but in this case it actually makes it so much better because I just love her acting in this film. It's just hilarious.
I love it. It's really light-hearted. Again, it's the film and the filmmakers not taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
Because they're not really characters you put together. He's short and kind of really happy and chirpy, and she's sarcastic and feisty.
Not just the voice talent, which was great in this film actually, all of the animation team and the storyboard directing team was also amazing. The film was directed by Rich Moore. So this film was actually his feature directing debut, amazingly. He has had a long career. In the past, he directed lots of episodes of The Simpsons when it was in its prime, the first 5 seasons. Everyone knows it sort of went downhill in the later years, but he was in it when it was good. He also did lots of stuff for Futurama. He also went on to co-direct Zootopia, and he's also returning to do Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yeah.
Fun fact, he's a voice actor as well. So he did do a couple of characters in the film. He did Sour Bill, and he was also Zangief. Zangief is amazing in this.
I like Sour Bill. He's my spirit animal.
Anyway, yeah, he came up with the original story idea. They turned to him and said, we want to make a film about a video game. Disney in the past had sort of been developing 2 different video game films, both of which sort of failed in development stages. One was called High Score, the other one was called Joe Jump. Sort of more ignored both of the ideas and then came up with his own unique idea of Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, they both actually sound quite lame.
Originally the story was supposed to actually be about Fixi Felix, but then they realised that Ralph would have a much better character arc.
The screenplay was expanded by Phil Johnson, who also worked on Zootopia, and Jennifer Lee went to work on Zootopia as well.
Jennifer Lee was, she'd worked on it for a few years, but then she was also the writer and co-director of Frozen.
Oh, okay.
So I think she was apparently the first female writer at Walt Disney Studios for a feature film, and the first female director of a feature film to earn more than $1 billion in grossing.
Go Jennifer!
The film also had John Lasseter as executive producer. John Lasseter has Some people will know he's like the main guy at Pixar. He's been there since the early days.
Yeah, he like is Pixar.
Yeah, when it was Lucasfilms and then bought by Steve Jobs and then became Pixar, he was there before that, and he was actually at Disney before that. So he's been around for a long time. He directed Toy Story, Bugs Life, Toy Story 2, Cars 2, and he's actually overseen production of every Pixar film to date.
Busy man.
Yeah, as a executive producer and and then he just does sort of Wreck-It Ralph on the side.
For the film's soundtrack, Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez.
The people from Frozen.
Yes, yeah, they wrote the music for Frozen. They actually wrote the original song for Wreck-It Ralph. It was later cut out, but we'd love to hear it. But the music that was used in the film was composed by Henry Jackman, minus a few sort of pop songs added in. So we've got Rihanna's Shut Up and Drive.
What song in the film?
And then we've got Owl City's When Can I See You Again, which is really cute. Skrillex also has a song in the film that features John C. Reilly himself.
Yeah, and Skrillex makes a little cameo appearance as well.
Yeah, the music really is great though. It really helps the feel of the film and it fits in with sort of each setting that you see, so each game, each location that's featured.
Yeah, the thing is, it's one of those scores which you don't actually notice because it does its job so well.
It just blends in, it's just there and you're like, you have to sort of work at it to notice it sometimes.
Yeah, you don't sit there and go, oh, it's an amazing score, because the score does its job so well, just immersing you into that particular game or universe that they're in, that it just sort of creates the whole atmosphere for it. It never seems out of place. From an animation perspective, this film is just beautiful and the level of detail is just phenomenal. You can see it's just like days and days just sort of being spent on like bridges and stuff like that, ridiculous. So like Vanellope's wardrobe, like everything else in Sugar Rush, is completely made up of candy. Like her skirt is like a little Reese's cup wrapper and her shoes are black licorice and she's got a licorice headband and little like sugar gems chucked in her hair and everything. It's just like everywhere you look, there is some sort of details. Apparently for the animators, the Nicelanders, who are the background people in Fixi Felix Jr., they were the hardest things to animate throughout the whole film, because they just have this jerky 8-bit motion. So they're very jittery and old-fashioned, so the Disney people had to remove their classic Disney brains of how to make things smooth to sort of get the movements right. So I think that's sort of quite funny how the simplest motion was the most complicated to make. This film also introduced some new Disney technology. It's technology which had been around before, but it was Disney's new spin on it. So it was new bidirectional reflectance distribution function, meaning it sort of blends real-world light, computer graphic algorithms and computer vision algorithms, does a very complicated formula and creates some really realistic reflections on surfaces, as well as a few other different bits of technology. I think there were sort of 2 or 3 new different bits which they made specifically for this film and then used them on other films afterwards. Finally, like every Disney film, it's riddled with Easter eggs. So here's just a handful of them. The high score of Fixi Felix Jr. is 120,501, which references Walt's birthday, December the 5th, 1901. Next in the Bad Anonymous meeting room, there's a poster on the bulletin board, which is a lost dog flyer for Walt. Mostly known for collecting his ceramic unicorns, Tangle's Vladimir the Thug makes an appearance in the game Central Station. Tiny, the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Disney's Meet the Robinson, amazing underrated film. He makes an appearance in the game Central Station as well. There's also tons of hidden Mickeys scattered through several different points throughout the film. So you've got a hidden Mickey in some of the frosting, you've got one in Hero's Duty on one of the helmets, you've got one on sort of one of the padlocks in sort of a Sugar Rush. There's even one on Princess Penelope as she crosses the finish line at the end of the film.
So that's it guys, thanks so much for watching our second Great Moments in Disney History video, and we really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, massive thumbs up, and subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you make sure you're not missing out on any of our Disney videos, especially other videos coming up in our Great Moments in Disney History series and our California vlog.
So we'll see you next time, bye guys!
Bye!